Hey, what's up? What's up, Scott?
Yo,
How you doing?
hello.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us again. I got a new angle. I'm messing with it. But anyways, got a new podcast episode. Gonna see my friends. I'm here with Scott Taylor, and this week we're gonna be doing Empire Records.
Yeah, just in time for
This
Rex Manning Day.
Rex Manning Day.
Say no more, Mon Amour. Couple days
Holy
away.
crap! Yeah, I know, huh? That's just like I was telling Scott before we got on the air here. This I have a love-hate relationship with this movie, because when I first initially saw it, I did not like this movie at all. It's it's only in the last, I would say, maybe 15 years, 10 years, 15 years that now I can watch it and enjoy it just because I'm older and whatever. It's just a fun movie. Uh, and I took myself a little too seriously when I was younger. So yeah, I just had a. What do you think about this movie, Scott? What does this take you when you watch it?
It's right up my alley, right?
Yeah,
You've got multiple different characters, all with their own things going on. It's all
yeah,
set
yeah,
within one day, so it's nice
yeah,
and concise. Everything
yeah,
weaves together, and it's just fun. Logically, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
one
yeah,
through line kind of through it, but it's just fun. And I didn't have as intensive feelings of it
yeah.
when I originally saw it as you did, apparently. I don't know who hurt you, but that's what we're here for. So sit down on the couch and we'll get started.
Yeah, that's exactly. It was kind of, well, it came out in 95 and I was just in the mid I was just right in the middle. See, I was 21. So I was just young, dumb, and full of testosterone and whatever else you can think of. I was full of it. And when I saw this, I think I just saw it as a VHS. Well, before we get into that, when was the first time you saw it?
I'm guessing it was probably like HBO. It was
Okay, yeah,
probably
yeah.
at some point it
Yeah.
got to HBO and
Yeah.
because it came out in '95, right? So
Yeah.
I would have been in high school at that time. I'm guessing I saw it on HBO.
Yeah, I think I saw it VHS. I didn't see it in the theaters. And yeah, um my bitterness, my resentment, I just, like I said, I just took myself way too seriously. But the thing I didn't like about it was that I felt like it was a corporate version of what teens and kids were doing. I kind of felt insulted when I watched it because I just thought, this is like, it just seemed like it was a pitch meeting. And it was like, we need a movie about kids these days. We need something grungy. We need something punk rock. Let's go. And and this is my thinking then, was instead of let's get into Black Flag. And yeah, I just didn't buy into it. And but now, having said that, but now it's like I can appreciate that time in the 90s. It was the mid 90s, and that's what was going on. And I mean, I dressed like a lot of those people. I
Hmm.
worked at a record store.
And you
And
might have gone
so,
through the outfits of all of those people in different phases
yes,
of your
yes,
teens to 20s.
yes, exactly, exactly. And it was always, so I have to, I'm in the midst of this podcast, like I'm going to go from that to how I see it now, and I'm going to jump in because now I see now it's fun. It like I said, it's like a time capsule, and it's always just like, no matter what I thought about it when I first saw it, like that, it captures the '90s. I mean, the hairstyles, the fashion, the attitudes. It just captured the '90s. So that's why I like it now, because I'm very nostalgic person, sometimes too much. So when I watch it now, it's just a trip back to '95. Yeah, yeah. Your thoughts?
One thing I noticed watching it now,
Yeah,
when I was younger, I'm sure I was probably focused on AJ and his love for her, and he couldn't say it and he couldn't describe it and he was afraid to tell her. And because
yeah,
that's me at my core, right? I was
really.
raised by Phil Collins, as I like to say. And so as the guy that owned like 21 VHS copies of Say Anything, that's me and my
Yeah,
character trope
yeah,
right there. But
yeah,
watching it now afterwards, I sat there, and the next morning I was talking to my wife and I said, I think all of the non-white people were just not scheduled that day, right? Because
yeah. I
It's just it's a sea of whiteness.
uh,
Well, I think that's it kinda ties into when you were talking about it feels like a corporate movie, right?
yeah,
Like, we want
that
one of each. I'm kinda doing that, and then they ran out of space.
yeah.
So, that kinda ties into that, right? Like, it feels
Yeah,
very, very whitewashed,
yeah,
which, might be I enjoyed it,
yeah,
but being older now and noticing more things, that's something that I saw.
yeah.
Welcome to Old Guys Pick Apart Movies. Logistically.
I mean, when I start to watch this movie, I still feel that ping of like, God, this movie. But it's such a weird dichotomy that I have with this. It's just I love it because I watch it. It's so I don't have to be a part of that, so I can watch it from afar. I don't know if that makes any sense, but at the same time, it's something that I still become traumatized because I still feel that ping of like, oh, I know why I don't like this movie. No, I do like this movie. So there's always that battle. But to me, the naysayer in me is like, there's no scene in this movie that makes any sort of sense. But after doing a little bit of a deep dive on this, I realize it's because it's been cut. They cut out certain characters. It was supposed to be over 2 days, and now they just did it 1 day. So I understand now why there's so many like, continuity er not continuity errors, but just things that just, to me, didn't really make sense, and I just kind of now I can just kind of like, well, it's just a movie,
Mhm,
whatever. But at the time, I just remember having issues with just like she loves Rex Manning, so she finally gets him, and then she just chickens out. And why?
mhm.
He's giving you what you want, and so that those are the kind of things to me that I just didn't understand. But we can talk about the things I do like, which is a lot too,
Well,
which is the soundtrack.
oh, yeah, do you
Yeah,
feel like going on to the soundtrack, you know how they will make in the '80s, they would make a cartoon series
yeah,
just to sell action figures,
right, right,
and
right.
do you feel like this is kind of that type of situation where they made this movie and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna sell the Gin Blossoms." You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that was
Like, we're
that
gonna
was
sell
part
these
of it.
things.
Well, that was part of it. They had a whoever A&M, whoever the Jim Blossom's label was. They took that label and they put music from that label, so they would cut down on the, having to pay the rights and all that kind of stuff. So, they picked the Jim Blossoms, they picked, let's see, what else was on there? Sponge, or not, was that Sponge? Is that there?
Yeah, I think Sponge was on there.
Yeah,
Cranberries.
Cranberries. So all these artists that were either on their roster or a subsidiary that they owned was on the soundtrack, and it's a pretty good soundtrack. I mean, every scene has a new song to it, it seems like. And that, it just makes for a really cool movie when you do that, just because there's always something going on in the background. And they have Evan Dando on there who does a cover of Big Star, I think. And that's a really cool one. Dude, yeah, the soundtrack's really cool, and that's something I really liked about it, but
Do you think
never
part
got it.
of the corporateness that you were talking about, do you think
Yeah.
we've talked before about the new Daredevil series and
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
it's manufactured grime, right?
Yeah,
It
right.
feels like manufactured grime. Do you feel like that's part of it too? Like, it feels like the store is a little bit manufactured crime, like
Yeah,
organized
because
chaos.
it's like, I think we were talking about it off camera, maybe pre-show or something, but it's like you have Anthony LaPaglia, and he's this, he has the shaggy hair and he has the rings, and he's the manager, but what is he? He's in his office the whole time. And then you have like, the I forget her name, but the Robin Tunney character comes in.
Deb?
Yeah, Deb. She comes in and she's just mad at the world, and it's just the I think that what you said earlier, like a corporate person's interpretation of what this character is like and why they're like that. And having Liv Tyler being addicted to pain or diet pills, and it just all this stuff. While the subject matter isn't light, it's just the way that it comes across, and it just seems like there's no kind of grounding to any of that. So then it just, for me, I can't really, yeah, take it all that seriously. So now I can appreciate all that because it's just fun. Not fun, but it's a teen movie, and it's got its place, and I like it now.
Yeah, and there was a lot to like about. this movie,
Yeah.
it's kind of like the opposite of the manufactured grime. It's like, and it's artificial sunlight,
Yeah.
it felt like it
Right.
was a lot of artificial sunlight,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it was a lot of just poppiness
Yeah.
to the writing and the structure of it, and the
Yeah.
characters. They all had that little gleam to them.
They had the listening booths on the second row on the second floor, and that place is awesome looking, man. That's the kind of place I worked at the Virgin Megastore in San Francisco, and well, San Francisco is different because you had a lot of tourists, but yeah, it gets crazy, man. It gets crazy. The people that do all that stuff is it gets filled, and it's crazy. I forgot where I was going with that, but anyways,
It's definitely one of the movie sets that you'd like to visit. Like we talk
yeah,
about, like, which movie
yeah,
car would you want, a DeLorean or the Ecto-1, or what would you want? It's like this would be a place that you, if it was real life, you'd want to hang out. I know
yeah,
my local. I grew up in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and every day after high school, I'd walk to Harvard Square and go in this place called the Garage, and it was an old garage that they turned into some stores and a pizza
yeah.
place and that sort of stuff. And I'd walk up the ramp, and Newbury Comics was up there,
Uh,
and they weren't, I think they started with comics, but it grew into more CDs and records and cassettes and T-shirts and all that
yeah,
stuff. And that was a comfortable place for me after school. And so I would go to Empire Records if that was on my way home from school every day. I'd be stopping in
yeah,
there every single day.
yeah. That's a place too, and it's an indie store because the whole plot of this is that they're going to be taken over by a chain store. But it's if it's indie and it looks like that, I'm in. I'm living there basically. And that's how it kind of reminds me of Rasputin Records in San Francisco, 'cause I worked there too. And then so when I watch this movie now, it reminds me of those kind of weird kind of spaces, indie places that had in stores and all that. And the idea that they have Rex Manning come in, it's just that's a place. My point being, that's a place I would definitely would have hung out in.
And you
Yeah.
probably would have wanted to work there,
Yeah.
out of all the
Yeah.
places. If you could work
Yeah.
at the corporate, Sam Goody type place or
Yeah.
Empire Records, you'd pick Empire Records.
Yeah.
You're a little
Yeah.
late. It's probably not going to matter because Joe clearly doesn't have his stuff together as a manager, right? Like, I think he realizes he's got just certain things to meet every day that he has to do, and the rest he's like, it doesn't matter, it'll figure itself.
Yeah. Yeah. Lucas is the one that pisses me off the most because it's like, you steal 9 grand. I mean, this is kind of sets the whole movie off at the beginning. And, you steal the money from the store to try to save the store, which you have good intentions, but and I was kind of with Warren Beatty on this one. Was is like he just stole a couple of CDs. This guy stole 9 grand, and you're getting rid of Warren Beatty. And he at the end it was just I'm gonna get the money somehow. I don't have any money, but I'm gonna buy this store. It's just a happy ending, just to put it on a happy ending. And so these just little things like that, just really at the time, just annoying. I don't know,
Uh,
but now
yeah, now
again,
you want, now you're happy to have everything a little wrapped up in its little
yeah,
capsule. And
exactly,
there's enough angst out there in the world, and being an adult, just being an adult comes with its own
yeah.
stratosphere of angst.
Exactly, and
And
I think
so
that's what I think that's why I can appreciate it. Go ahead, sorry.
now you
Yeah.
can watch it, and it's this little capsulated, almost perfect world where it starts
Yeah,
and it ends,
yeah,
and you're like, that's great.
yeah,
It's why people rewatch The Office, over and
yes.
over, or their favorite
Yeah,
shows, because
yeah,
it's comforting. And this is one little capsule that is everything turns out pretty good. Nobody dies, everybody's pretty happy. The quote unquote good guys win, and then you turn it off and you fall asleep.
yeah. I think, um, yeah, I just was a little full of myself back in '95, as you can tell. I'm willing to overlook those, and for some reason I think it was just because I did work at a record store. I was in music, I was playing music, and it just seemed really, trite and kind of, condescending a little bit, just of like, you know, how dare they, you know, I felt like I was being called out, but instead instead of, acknowledging that, I was like offended.
Hmm.
Just I don't know. I was full of shit back then.
Some of the stuff that I think they did right, when they're actually talking about music, it felt
Yeah.
pretty earnest
Yeah.
and honest,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
which was good. When you was Eddie, was that the guy with the long hair?
With the what, the pizza guy or the guy that
Yeah, the pizza guy, that was
yeah.
Eddie, right?
Yeah.
Chemo Wills. Whenever they had him talking, he was kinda like the voice of the
Yeah,
music fan.
exactly.
And so
Yeah,
you
yeah.
had that, pieces there that, "Okay, well, here's some real music stuff for you.
Yeah,
Here's something
yeah.
that's
And he
true."
was and he was always making mixes for his friends, and that's
Mhm.
what you did. And which I'm glad they didn't do, which is that the downside of working at a record store is the kind of the pretentiousness of that you're which they hit on High Fidelity, which is this idea that you work at a record store that means that you know all about music and you have the ultimate taste. And some of the people that I worked with had horrible taste in music. It was just whatever was out and hip at the time, that's what they would gravitate toward. And I was just like, okay, that's cool, you can like whatever you like. But when you introduce kind of I tried to be at the toward the end of my retail music store career. I tried to bring some levity to everybody, and they just were not having it. I remember working at Rasputin. I was probably the least liked person there. And you know how I am, and I had a couple people say, "Steve, you really ought to get a sense of humor, dude." And if you know anything about me, that's an odd thing to say to me. So,
Yeah.
anyways, yeah.
I
So,
think, the it for a lot of the people in the movie, they were having a job in a fun place,
yeah,
right? Like, they had a
yeah,
job that was at a fun location. They weren't there for the music specifically. But it
right.
was a
It's a
job in
hang.
a yeah, it was a
Yeah,
job in a fun place,
yeah,
and that's a big part of when you're that age, when you have a job, liking the people you're
yeah,
around, and I think it does a great job of showing the family aspect of that kind of situation where there'll be people you don't like, but you still don't wish them harm. They're still in your fold, and there's not a lot of people you're like, "Oh, man, no, I don't like that person at all," and they're just completely on the outs. Usually, you all have that common feeling of, "Yeah, we're here together, and some of us will hang out more than others, but you're still okay enough to be with us and hang out there." And it showed that with all of them, with Deb and all the different characters. You could tell that, yeah, they would, get together at the end of the day and spend their time together.
yeah. They showed that well too, in terms of the diversity in the personalities, at least, of everybody. I remember working. Did you guys have the warehouse back in Boston?
I don't
Or
think
is that
no, I
a
don't think so.
the warehouse? It was something else too. I can't remember, but it was out here. We had the warehouse, which was just a record store. It was corporate, but it had Bass Ticket Outlet, and we could sell concert tickets there too on Sundays. And that was my first job, my first retail, record store job, and I loved it. I mean, and you're right in the way that we mingled together, which we were all different types of people, but we were all kind of hanging out and selling music and talking about music and playing music on I think we had an 8 disc or 5 disc CD changer. And yeah, it was more of just like we can argue and bicker, but we still hung out together, and it was fun. It's fun. Yeah, that's I agree with you on that.
And when you're that age and you're in that type of job, your manager, you definitely want them as like a friend manager, which they portray well here. That they're not the manager isn't that much older than you, but has some level of grounding and responsibility inherent to them. And it feels like in this movie, Joe is like that. Like he's gonna work with people. He's not gatekeeping at all. He's not writing people up for being late a couple times. He knows his team. He knows their pluses and minuses, which ones he can count on. And at that time in your life when you have those jobs, that's a big deal
Yeah,
to keep
yeah,
you happy.
that's and that was kind of yeah, my experience too was kind of like that. I was like always at 10 personality wise, and I didn't know it, but it would grate on people. And so they would complain about me, and I had no idea why they would complain about me. I'm a nice guy. I make everybody laugh. But the
I'm a
manager
people
was
person.
but the manager would always be like, "Steve, you gotta chill out, dude. Just chill out. You're cool." But I would be like, "Chill out. I'm the most chillest person ever." And I wasn't, but
There were a couple levels below you, apparently.
right, right, exactly. But that was like you were saying, it was the manager that was kind of he was the fun guy. He related to everybody, but then when he needed to put his foot down, it was like he could. Yeah, oh man, I had such good managers too. I wonder what they're doing now.
One thing I do like about the movie, and we kind of talked about how it's supposed to be 2 days, and so they crammed a lot of stuff in, but I kind of like that they didn't go into any backstories. That you
Mm,
jump in and you're still able to tell what's going on, and it still feels authentic without having to do the expository, oh well my cousin he told me this type of situation that you get in a lot of movies when it's a short period of time. So I you can tell, Joe has the conversation with AJ. Like AJ goes to Joe to say, "I'm going to tell her I love her." And you can kind of tell that Joe's heard this before from him, and he's just walking and just like, "Uh huh, yep, okay, yep." And by the sense that AJ's just pushing that time back and back and back, he's like, "Yep, this," and then it's going to be Tuesday, and then it's going to be a week from Friday, and it's happened before. And then you also have one of my favorite scenes is when he's talking to Deb, and she's in the listening booth. It brings it down to a more serious spot, but you can feel the relationship there. You can feel some realness with the way it was written in the interaction there, where it's two people that are on the same wavelength with each other, but don't have to say everything. There wasn't a lot stated out loud in that scene, but there was a lot implied and understood on both of their parts.
yeah, that was a good scene, and that was one of the maybe few scenes that I can actually enjoy. I mean, I think it needs a little more things like that. Again, not too deep, but like you were saying, I don't want like a whole backstory or a whole reason. I still don't really understand why. Is it because she just doesn't know her parents? I still don't
Yeah,
really
or
know
what
why
happened
she's.
with Coyote Shivers the night before, or because
Yeah,
it seems like they were dating.
yeah. You have that, and I guess it's good that it's peppered in the way it is because then it would just be a whole new movie. I don't know what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly.
Now, with
Yeah.
a name like Coyote Shivers, don't you feel like you're obligated to know about them? Like you're supposed to. I feel like I should know more about Coyote Shivers than I currently do,
I
than I
thought that
ever
was a
have.
I thought that was a band.
Yeah,
I thought that was the name of his band, and I was like, "Oh, that's a cool sounding name, whatever." And it's actually
it's
him.
just his. It's him. I feel with a name like that, it's like yeah, that demands attention. Like I feel like I should know. Oh, Coyote Shivers should be like it common with Kardashian. It
Yeah.
should be. You
Yeah.
know that you know the name, you know the person.
There's there was something I read that he has, like, a first name of, like, Edward or something, and his nickname is Coyote, but, I can't I was trying to look for it this morning, and, yeah, I did but apparently he's Liv Tyler's stepfather, and
Oh,
that
it's Francis. His first name is Francis.
Francis, yeah, there we go. So, yeah, he looks like a an actual musician, like, around that time, he has the painted black hair and, the wristbands, the sleeveless attire.
Yeah, I was telling my wife that we were watching this, and she was like, "Oh, that's a good movie," and she's like, "Oh, Ethan Embry was just
Oh, yeah.
so cute,"
Yeah.
and I was like,
Yeah.
"Really?" Like I pictured more of an AJ person. She's like, "You thought I was an AJ person?" She's like, "No, Ethan Embry was fun, and with his
Yeah.
just his t-shirt and his hair, it was just cute and free
He had the
spirited,
choker. Yeah, he had the
and he was
choker.
funny."
That was the thing for me was, again, at the time, that it was just so I don't know what the word is, tropey, I guess. I don't know, but it was just like he puts on the punk rock music. He doesn't look punk rock. That was my least favorite character in this whole thing. And but again, was he in that first band that he plays when he presses the button, he looks right and the camera starts singing? Is that supposed to be his band?
Think so,
Oh, okay.
because I think he said he was thinking about starting a band called Mark.
Okay. Because I don't know what band that is. I tried to what do you do with your phone?
ShamWow, Shazam,
Shazam. I
Shibuya
tried to
Roll Call.
Shazam that. Yeah, I tried to do the Shazam on that, and it didn't come up with anything. And I
That sounds so
looking
old, man. I tried to do the Shazam. I think
tried
the
to
kids would just
Shaz.
go, I Shazammed it. I tried to try it. The Shazam?
Well, we're gonna put this video up on the whole YouTube anyway.
Go
So,
play with the Nintendo.
well, nothing came up, and I couldn't find the name of the song. So I figured, oh, maybe it's supposed to be his band, but I don't know. Do you
I
know the name of the band?
no.
No. Okay.
But up until this viewing, and I hadn't seen it in a long time, so maybe I would have picked up on it sooner. But I when the guy's making the brownies and he goes extra sugar, I literally thought it was just sugar. I thought it was just, oh, he's all hyped up on sugar, and I'm like, well, it's probably pot.
Wait, so the brownies that Liv Tyler makes?
No, no, that so she makes cupcakes. She brings them in during the day,
Cupcakes.
and
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
at one point, what's his name? Eddie Chemo
Yeah.
Wills.
Okay.
He goes, "Hey man, I made you some brownies. They're my special ones. So you know what that means? Extra sugar." And then when he's eating them, he's watching Guar, and he's getting all like hyped up, kind of
Yeah.
like Beavis, right? And so I'm like, do they mean sugar? Do they mean he's like getting hyped up on sugar? Like, is that really what it is? They're keeping that, or is it code word for pot?
Oh, yeah, okay. That's okay, so my bitterness has blinded me to a lot of these plot points because I always thought he was so enamored with wanting to be in a band that he was just imagining, "Oh, wow. Okay. Good insight, Scott."
Fear is the path to the dark side, Steve. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
Crazy, crazy. And let me just give you a little bit of this thing here, some facts here. It was they had a $10 million budget, and it only returned 300,000, a little over $300,000. Um, and that's crazy to me. It solidifies my thesis that this was a corporate thing at the time. That this was a corporate thing that was kind of manufactured by some studio heads. And if you read the Wikipedia, which I'm sure you probably have up, like it was basically some dude who wrote it who worked at a Tower Records, which I could gives it legitimacy in my book, you know. But then you could tell that they just kind of they bought it from him from like for like thousand. He gets another 250 if he gets made. Plus, he gets points on the back end. So the writer made out pretty well. But you could tell that there was just so many cooks in the kitchen to try and get this thing made that I think it kind of the lost the lost the sauce.
Yeah,
But
it only had a 2 week run on very few screens,
yeah, yeah, like 89 screens or something like
something
that.
like that. Yeah,
And it was supposed to be they wanted to do it nationwide, but they didn't even have a premiere. They didn't have any kind of press for it. So, you know, I don't know. And Toby Maguire was supposed to be in the movie and ended up going into rehab for some drinking problems, which I'm glad he kind of tackled. But oh, man,
yeah.
yeah,
I saw an interview with the actor that played AJ, and he was saying he's like this the production of this movie would never happen again. Like it was just in such a unique state. They had, I think, I don't remember if he said 3 months or 3 weeks of rehearsals. Where do they have rehearsals anymore, right? Other than if it's fight
yeah,
scenes, right? A movie like this would
right,
not have
right,
rehearsals. It's just people talking. And they had like 3 weeks rehearsals, 3 months to record the movie. And they were all living on the beach. They all had like beach houses, like, would walk down to each other's place,
yeah,
hang out in the morning, hang out at night. And they were just a
wow.
young group of mostly unknowns,
Yeah.
or
That's
unproven, I should say, versus unknown.
Yeah, that was another thing I read about, which was surprising that a lot of these people, because now you see them and you're like, oh yeah, she was in Lord of the Rings, or he was in that thing you do, and Vacation, Vegas Vacation. But at the time, they were kind of newbies, and yeah,
This was
that's
the
interesting.
starting place for a lot of it. I mean, Ethan Embry had one of one of my favorite movies that I haven't seen in a long time, Dutch, with Ed O'Neill. I remember seeing that a lot as a kid on HBO,
Wow, I get it. Yeah,
and enjoying
well,
it.
when me and Toby did Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, I was doing some research for that movie. And yeah, that's a Thanksgiving movie too. And I didn't know John Hughes did that one.
Did he
No, no,
for
no. He
Dutch?
did Curly Sue. That's what he. That's
Oh
what
yeah,
I.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Anyways, yeah, and I forgot that he was even in that movie. That's interesting. Yeah, Renee Zellweger too. Like it's one of her first roles or first big roles.
Robin Tunney
It's
goes from this to
Junie
Craft, right?
Craft. Yeah, exactly. She had to wear a wig for that movie because she actually shaved her head for this role. Rory Cochrane, who I knew from Dazed and Confused,
Hmm.
and then Anthony LaPaglia, which was in So I Married an Axe Murderer. That was the first time I ever seen him. But I guess is he Australian? He's Australian, right? I never hear him with his accent, even in interviews. I don't think I've heard his accent.
It's so weird seeing people that can do accents and seeing interviews
Yeah.
with them. It throws me off every single time. I'm just like,
Well,
what is going on?
like the guy from Daredevil plays Daredevil. I didn't know he was English until, let's see, was it recently? I think I don't. Yeah, because I don't. I thought he was American. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I agree, man. Or even the opposite, when you see like Americans and they go to, like France and then they speak fluent French, or they go to Spain and they speak Spanish. It's just it's always throws me off.
And Liv Tyler, this the only thing major before this was the Aerosmith videos for her.
Yeah,
And but people
yeah,
loved those. I can't
yeah.
tell you how many times I watched those on
That
MTV.
was yeah. That was the first time I'd heard of her too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Her and, who was the girl in there with
Alicia
her?
Silverstone.
Yeah, Alicia Silverstone. This is before, Clueless and all that kinda stuff, yeah, so
Yeah, but then she goes on to That Thing You Do, Armageddon.
which had Ethan Embry as well, so they did that movie,
Mhm.
which I love that movie too, I watch that all the time. Do you ever watch that movie? That Thing You
I
Do?
have only seen it a couple times.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a while,
Yeah,
but I know
it's
a lot of it was filmed down in, Orange County, California, and there's a thrift store there that you can go in the back, and they actually have one of the signs still
Oh,
there.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah. That movie should be on the pod, I think. That's a great movie. Debbie Mazar or Mazar, she goes on to do she did a lot of stuff in the '90s, and then I haven't really seen her do much since, but she was in, The Insider, I think? Or was that I think that was her with
Yep,
Pacino
she
and
was
Russell
Insider.
Crowe.
Yep.
Yeah, and after that, I didn't really see her in anything because she was in So I Married an Axe Murderer as well, right? Was she
Mhm.
the girl that was like, "Getting electrocuted," and everybody's like, "Yeah, that sucks, yeah."
Yeah, I believe she was in Axe Murderer too.
Yeah. So I haven't seen her much in much. Do you have her IMDb up or
So let's see, so 95 was Empire Records, she was then in Girl 6, a couple other movies here, let's see, Meet Wally Sparks, Robert Downey, what do you call it, Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah.
Let's see, next big thing here. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything big, but then she was in what, Entourage?
Was she?
I think she was in
Nice.
Entourage. Oh, Entourage. Yep, she was in Entourage. So
Okay.
there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. She was always good. I always liked her and stuff.
It did feel a little sudden because it felt like she met Joe when she walked in. Because it felt like they were shaking hands. It wasn't like, "Oh, hey, good to see you again." It was
Yeah.
more like, "Nice to meet you." And then
Yeah.
she goes in and she tells him that she's quitting. Like, you just and then she comes back for a date, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, "Wait, what? Well, how did this you've never met each other and now you're just you're best friends and you're telling him you could have just left."
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, exactly. And that plays that's exactly how I feel about the Liv Tyler fawning over, Rex Manning. It was like, "Oh, she's gonna really do it." And then she gets embarrassed and whatever she says and runs up on the roof. I was thinking, "This is all you ever wanted. What?" I
As long as
just
I've known you, you've wanted to lose your virginity to Rex Manning.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the
exactly.
character, not you, Steve. It's the first thing you hear about her character, and
Uh-huh.
you're like, okay, great, this must be the driving force of this character. And then poof, nope, it doesn't happen.
And she's like, "I'm humiliated." And I'm like, "What? He was trying to eat his lunch." I don't I mean, yeah, so, that and I guess if we're gonna nitpick the thing, those 2 things, the one that you brought up, but also the whole Lucas thing. I mean, I was waiting for him to, like, really beat his ass and not just give him not slap him around like he did, but and call the police and all that. It's just a ridiculous to me, it's a ridiculous premise. And then the whole, go to Atlantic City and he's like he reaches over and does the thing and
Pulls the slot
wins.
machine.
Yeah, and wins for her and he's just walking. And because at that point I was thinking he's gonna win all this money and then not even give it to the record store. And then he blows it. And I'm like, why why set it up like that? Why not just it's hard enough to gamble. It's such a gamble anyways. Like why build it up that much just to just have him lose the first one, you know? Or
Hmm.
maybe have him win the first one and then like you had it. I mean, I could do this through the whole movie because again, to me, there's a lot of scenes that just the logic is just like, huh?
Yeah,
So
I know. I said that I like that they don't do that expository stuff and show you the backstory stuff, but Some of it is a little forced. Like he's explaining, you're like, why isn't
Forced,
Joe
yeah.
beating him up over this? Why isn't Joe calling the cops instantly? Like if you even if it was just your employee and a friendly employee situation, you'd be calling the cops, you'd be figuring something else out. But then he goes into his mother, and how Joe found him. It's like, did he find him in an alley and just pick him up like a dog in a cardboard box? Or, how did this happen? Was he, big brother, big sister? Was he friend of the family? Like, what happened? Did he foster?
Well, there has to be some sort of boundaries regardless. I mean, I get when he says, "You can talk to me. You can come and talk to me if you are you in trouble? Come and talk to me." Like, I get that, but, you probably that's something you say to him when he's in handcuffs, you know? And, it's just like you said, yeah, it's forced. That's a good word for it because I felt like a lot of the stuff was just forced and it just little things like the shoplifting scene it was just silly. I mean, he would have just outran Lucas,
Yeah.
but he just does it. It's just silly, and that was kind of the thing that took me out of the. There's so many things that just take me out of the movie, and at the time, see, I always have to.
Hmm.
I have to have this discredit like myself because I was just full of myself. But and that was one of the issues that I had with this movie
Mm.
was just a
Yeah.
lot of that stuff.
Go ahead. She did.
Where she gets on the when he's chasing the shoplifter and she gets on the mic and then outside and, "Hey, if you look to your left," and it's like, "Okay, this is
They
not."
have, they have a very liberal policy on the overhead speaker use at Empire Records. There's no code to press to get through.
Yeah,
You hit a
yeah.
button and it puts you through. You can put through your boss playing drums to AC/DC.
While Rex Manning is signing autographs, I'm
Yeah.
like, they're having an in-store right now. What are you doing?
What kind of manager are you?
Holy shit. Where's my Yeah, go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
my one thing my wife hates about movies is she will get completely taken out and just shut down if there's like a animated mid sequence to something. Like a dream sequence type thing takes her completely out of it. She's like, I'm done. And I feel like the theft scene there is kind of like it might as well have been animated.
So she didn't like One Crazy Summer then at all?
No, no, she Anchorman. Even when we watched it, with him and when they're on the unicorns and stuff, anything like that just takes her out of it completely. And this might as
Even if
well
it
have been like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I could see that because again, it just plays into this idea of how irreverent teens are and their ways of doing things, and it was just like, geez,
Yeah, can Lucas teleport? Is that like, does he have
Yeah,
special
exactly.
powers? Is he of the X-Men?
It's like he's chasing, and all of a sudden,
Yeah,
like
he's just sitting in a convert. I would never think to just sit in someone else's convertible with the roof off. Would you ever do that? I'd be so anxious. And I've never opened the door into someone running. I feel like I was trained for that as a kid. Like you see it so much it's like quicksand. You think you're going to run into it a lot, and you think at some point I'm going to have to open a door and knock someone out. So I better be ready.
well, that's again going back. I don't know if we talked about this on an earlier podcast, but things that you can't do now, which is you can't chase shoplifters. You can't take them and put them in your office in the back anymore, which we used to do because that's they could sue you for false imprisonment now, and you can't take the pictures anymore. Which I've only seen that happen once. So yeah, you can't do all that stuff anymore. And Rex Manning's all posing with him. He's all
Yeah, yeah. Multiple photos, not like he just
yeah,
mistook them for a fan, and "Oh, okay,
yeah.
I'll take a photo with you."
And I don't know what that bit was, why that was for. Oh, then, hey, try that. Get in there and try. Like, let's just say he wants to do a photo shoot. Yeah, that's a great idea. Do it. Yeah. Oh, this came out great. It's
Hmm.
like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Again, that's my former issue.
Now you can see you're like, oh, this is fun.
Yeah. I mean, that's
That's a
how I
funny
watch it
premise.
now.
Great, yeah.
Yeah. Now I see it again. To reiterate, yeah. Now I watch it and I just have fun with it. So it's not like but it's just fun to see my issues with it. That's what I think I'm poking fun of more of is me is this idea that I had so many issues with this movie that I was just like, how dare this movie exist?
Hmm.
And it's just
Yeah,
funny to me
yeah.
now.
You had major main character syndrome going on.
Yeah, exactly. Oh Jesus. Hell yeah.
So with Rex Manning Day coming up, and people celebrating it after the movie, after years and years of VHS and HBO showings and all of
Mhm.
that, we got to talk about Rex Manning
Yes.
as a
Yeah.
character. I think it was a great juxtaposition of all the people there. That it's like here was this child star who now has albums out.
Yeah.
Feels very Tom Jones-ish singer coming in that they clearly mock, but now they have to kind of tolerate and put in their store for the day.
The whole, juxtaposition, I always thought that they liked it, and that was the big hit of the day, so I was like, "How is this even mixing?" I just didn't understand it, but now, yeah, like you said, now I can see it and be like, "Oh, yeah, they don't like him." And he kinda does portray that character as somebody, because you look at his fan base who comes as just women and, like, old women and I don't wanna be offensive, elderly, I guess, I don't know, but it's just older women and I think that's it, and it's just like, there's no, or is there a teeny bopper? I don't know.
There's
Anyways,
a girl that comes in, she's like, he's Denise, and he's,
that's
"I
right.
love that name." She goes, "That's my mom's. I don't even know who you are." And there's so many digs at him sitting, and you can only imagine if you're in that situation, getting those types of things and trying not to let them hurt you. Like "You were my favorite singer in high school," and he goes, "Well, who's your favorite singer now?"
So, you know,
So
you are still.
it's such a good line, it you can imagine, because going to a lot of conventions and stuff, you can imagine people sitting there hearing kind of complissults, I call them. Like, I went to give blood once,
That's a
and
good word.
yeah, and the person, I was giving blood, and they asked my weight, and I told them the weight, and they go, "You hide it well." And I was like, "Thank you." I mean, I appreciate that you think I'm less weight than I am, but you're kind of saying that I'm heavier than I should be. And so it
Yeah.
feels like you get a lot of those complissults as sitting at a booth like that, either a convention or a record store here, hearing from people. And one of the things that one of the scenes they didn't put in the movie was a scene with I'm gonna call him Coyote because it's just such a cool name. A Coyote and Rex, and Rex is out back, and Coyote's just got his guitar, and they start talking and about the guitar. He's like, "Oh, this is my so and so," and Rex is like, That's really cool." He goes, "The last uh, three albums I've done, they wouldn't even let me play my own music."
Mm,
And Coyote goes, "I'd never let that happen to me." And Rex goes, "We'll see about that." And it
yeah.
it tied it all together for me. It felt like it was a really good just wrapping up of Rex's character. That was it's like, yeah, I was you before. And that's kind of what you're talking about now, seeing the movie now and thinking about what you thought of it when you were younger. And it's you
Yeah.
always look at things differently. You look at Rex as that's that old dude that, has sold out and washed up and that's that type of thing. And then you get older and you're like, I can understand his premise. I can understand where he came from.
Well, they should have left that in the movie. Like, what you were saying about the characters and how you appreciate that there's not a lot of deep backstory with each of them. But that's awesome because it doesn't do that with that character, but that line, it gives that character, it gives him a little bit of humanity. It gives
Hmm.
him a little bit of humanness and relatability, because it just, that line kind of just encapsulates kind of probably a lot of musicians now, of like, when because I look at, again, Pearl Jam, when their first couple albums, they were just balls to the wall, and everything, it's just so, every performance is just so visceral, and it was just very angsty. And now they're playing music, and it's like, and I'm going over this list, so I'm listening, re-listening to a lot of their albums, and it's something that I think every musician goes by. There's just like, oh yeah, when I first got in here, I was this, and nah, 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 nah. And it just gives them a little bit of humanity. They should have left that in. They should have left that in.
Yeah, it adds that humanity to him, and it gives you the man. Maybe if we shouldn't be making fun of him. Before, it's like he's
Right.
just doing
Yeah.
things to make fun of. Like
Yeah.
he's got this
Exactly.
flashy outfit and his poofy hair. He doesn't like the chair he's sitting in, and you're like, this guy's just a prima donna. And then that deleted scene shows you that he wasn't always like that. Like he's kind of
Yeah.
a result of the environment, the corporate
Right.
environment of everything.
And
And he was more
yeah.
of the music town type of performer.
Yeah.
But at
Yeah.
some point he might have been more Empire Records.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. It's like, at some point he was probably started out like writing songs and being like, I'm gonna be, and he probably had that. I want to be, my own music and play and sing. And he probably had that for a while, but then he saw kind of this way of what he thought maybe eternal recognition and eternal, the spotlight. And he may have gotten that, but then he looks back and what he lost along the way is just like it's a good movie thing. I don't know. I haven't seen much of that lately. So, anyways, yeah, he should have left. They should have left that in. That's a great. I didn't see that. I have to look that up now.
Yeah, it was the one deleted scene. Like you said, I think there's they call it the fan version on a DVD
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah.
That's a little longer, a little more
Well,
involved.
They released it in 2003 or 2002 or 2003. I guess no one really bought it. I don't know what happened, but it wasn't really popular. So they in 15 they re-released it with the original theatrical version. But they have that one as a supplement to. That's what I've read, so I don't really know, but um yeah, it's on YouTube too. You can see it, or at least I found it on YouTube. So
Yeah. And then to make a whole Rex Manning day, to make it I mean,
well,
okay, it's
yeah,
great when you're a movie or something like that, that the fans of it can latch onto something specific to remember and memorialize their fandom on a specific day.
yeah. I mean, the idea that it's still going on today, it's astonishing.
You have movies where it's, Groundhog Day, right? And you're like, "Oh, every
Yeah,
Groundhog Day, I watch
yeah,
Groundhog Day," or, the night before Thanksgiving, I watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, something like that. This, it's just a date from the movie. It's just
yeah,
a date that was,
yeah,
very briefly in there on a poster or something, I believe. And people just grab onto it and own it as part of the fandom. That's one of the great things about the internet is you can do that.
yeah. Well, that's we just did the Big Lebowski, and they have on the release date of the movie is the Dude Day or something, or the Big Lebowski Day. They had to do it every year, and Toby was saying they're doing a showing in San Francisco on the 20th of April, and Jeff Bridges is going to be there. So yeah, so to have like stuff like that with tie into your movie, it kind of helps with the longevity of it.
I don't know who you do in the Man 6 of this, right? Because it
The
feels
what?
that you do the Man 6 every podcast, right? The 6th man. I'm
Oh
I'm not
yeah.
I'm not a sportsman
Well, no, it's a
as you
game
were.
6.
Game 6.
It's yeah, it's the idea because yeah, because the year they lost, the year they went 70 what 3-10 or 72-10, 9 72-9, which is um they were down 3-1 to Oklahoma City with Kevin Durant, and they were down game 6. They were going to lose, and Clay comes in and just takes over the whole game. So I think that did I explain that to you, or I think I didn't. I haven't explained it. I
No,
don't
but
think to
I see,
anybody.
I took
Yeah,
it as this maybe I heard as 6th man, like, isn't that a basketball thing too? Where
yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
the person
The
that's not
guy
the
off the
main
bench.
core. Yeah.
Right. It's the first guy off the bench. Yeah, David, who we had on our guest last week, said the same thing. Oh, I got my 6 man award. It's like, oh, that's cool. But it's game 6 Clay Thompson award because he came in and just overtook the game because he was like, he was just saying like I didn't want to lose. I wasn't gonna let my team lose. So he was just hitting everything and just overtook. So
But it's tough to pull
yeah,
one from here because they're all like main characters, right?
yeah.
They all have main character syndrome. It's just split up between them. So maybe Guar, maybe maybe Guar coming in.
I mean, you can even say the pizza guy
Mhm.
because yeah, he maybe but he doesn't. He only has like a couple of scenes, right? He only has like 2 or 3 scenes.
Yeah,
Let's
but
see.
he is the voice of music in it, so
That's true. That's
that
true.
makes sense.
Let's think of one. I'll think of one. Is that yours, Guar? Or
I'm gonna go Guar. I'll stick with Guar
all
because
right?
it's unexpected. It's you see, you're like, is that Guar? You're like, that is Guar. And for Guar to be in a movie in 1995, like that's I don't know if that was corporate tie-in, if they were part of the same
No,
album
no,
label, but
no. That had to have been yeah. That had to have been like a last minute thing or something because just sneaking by the corporate guys. That's I guess. Yeah, you're right, man. It's hard to do a I mean, Debbie Mazur, I guess. I mean, she's kind of ridiculous and like what you pointed out of like just this. kind of weird character, but I guess I'm gonna go with her because every time I see her in a movie in the '90s, I always saw her. She does really like from. Sorry, I'm babbling. So I married an ex murderer. I always just see her that character in everything she does. She's like a word or a phrase away from reverting back to that character. So yeah, I'm gonna do Debbie Mazar. So yeah, yeah, yeah. That I see. That's how off my game I was. I didn't even pick one for this yet.
It's
But
tough. There's a lot of people in the movie, and they're all kind of little roles. It's a bunch of little roles just pasted together.
yeah, it's a lot of. It seems like a lot of like skits sometimes. Like there was that one where he's talking, or no, there's no talking. There's like a song going on, and they would have these like little breaks where everybody's just dancing. And Ethan Embry is like dancing with this some girls doing ballet, and while listening at a listening station, and he's like kissing her feet,
Yeah,
and
he's
it
like
was just
dusting
like,
around her and dusting her
yeah,
foot off like he's Charlie Chaplin.
yeah, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. Yeah, all right. It's just again, this movie is filled with things like that of like people making out in the sound booths and. But one more thing I want to talk about is his that AC/DC song when he's playing drums, and you can tell that he doesn't play drum. Again, this is me. This is me from back in the day.
Hmm.
Like, "Oh, that is not. You can tell. How dare they? I'm so ridiculous. Holy shit, I was so ridiculous. But yeah, that was another thing that kind of took me out. Only because it's like, well, Rex Manning's in there, and you're playing over his. You're salting his gig, man.
I was I had questions about the veto system and what are the actual rules of the veto
Yeah,
system. Like I get the need for a veto system, right? And you get one a day apparently per person to use on
yeah.
anything that's playing, and then you get to choose what goes on next.
Like, there's a lot of people in there. Like, how do you decide who get like? I'm gonna use my veto. No, I'm gonna use my veto. Like, yeah, a little clarification on that would have been
I
nice.
want to see some written documentation in their employee handbook about the veto system, and then it makes a big alarm, like it's like a
Bwah.
yeah, like one of those cardboard crushers in the back of a Toys R Us. It's like making this loud noise to make sure your hand isn't in the way of this veto.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just a 8 disc changer. That's all it is.
yeah, yeah. That was. They always did that, and they always the dance breaks.
Mm-hmm. That's what are you, Annette Funicello? Like, what are all
What is
these
this?
dance moves in the store? This is crazy. I mean, if someone had TikTok at the time, they'd be rich.
Yeah,
They could just sit inside Empire Records and just film everyone dancing every day.
and then also another nitpick is it goes from after she gets humiliated herself, I guess, but with the Rex Manning thing. She has lunch with Renee Zellweger, and they immediately just get into a fight without any kind of. She's like, "I wish I wasn't like you," or something. She's like, "What does that mean?" And it just seemed a little out of the blue. There was no build up to it. I don't know. Maybe that's how it was supposed to be, but I
And
just.
I don't wear a bra. I feel comfortable saying that to the public. But she just took hers off, and I'm like, I understand that maybe you put that one on specifically because of Rex Manning, like you're choosing a style and a color for
Yeah,
him, and to have this perfect situation in your mind. I'm like, but why do you have to take it off outside a pizza restaurant?
yeah, yeah,
Was
yeah.
that?
Just things like that, man. Just having said all what I said, I enjoy watching this movie now.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's I watched it twice. I watched it we decided what on Friday to do this. So I watched it Friday night and last night, and it's just fun. And, we got to do Hackers. Have you ever seen that movie? Do you ever
It's
seen the
been a
movie
long
Hackers?
time, so I'd be interested in seeing it again for sure.
I would love to do that and get Toby on this as well, but like have you do Hackers because I don't think Toby. Maybe he has seen it, but I don't know if because a lot of these movies that we do, Toby's never really seen. We did this movie called Silver Bullet. I'm getting off track here a little bit, but I'll come back. We watched this movie called Silver Bullet, and he hadn't seen it before. I've seen it so much now that it's just interesting to see that reaction. So I would love to see you see Hackers and then give like an honest opinion about
Hmm.
it because that'd be sweet.
I do think there's one thing we should add to your movie reviews. We should add certain qualifying criteria that we review for each movie, and one of those I think is, was there easy unnecessary access to a rooftop? because I feel like it in a lot of movies it happens where people end up on a rooftop, right? And how easy is it to get on said rooftop? In this, there's a lot of it's clearly not the door's labeled. Come on in, come up to the rooftop, come have your lunch up here. There's a bench. There's no railings, so
Yeah,
don't tell
yeah,
OSHA we're letting you up here. But
yeah,
please
yeah,
come up,
exactly.
enjoy our sign up here. May or may not be working, but come on up and
Well,
take some time off.
they have at the end, they have that concert, which is another thing, but we'll get into that later. But they have this concert, and they're on this what is it, the mezzanine or something? I don't know what you call that, but it was like it's like that little shelf between the roof and the front door. And I'm thinking, geez, that thing's gonna
Yeah.
fall with all that equipment on there. Jesus Christ!
Hmm.
But yeah, that was. What did you think about that scene?
I was thinking of the Muppets and how it's like we have to put on a show, and whenever that's like the solution to something, I think of the Muppets.
I think of Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo
Mm.
because that was the whole premise of that whole movie was we got to put on a show and to save, the dance center or
Hmm.
whatever it was, the community center. Yeah, that's that. Yeah, that's he gets on the TVs. What does he say? Something about
Damn
the
the man,
Empire?
save the empire.
Damn the man,
Probably
save
the
the
most
Empire.
quotable thing from the movie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that was kind of like, yeah, just with Renee Zellweger singing that song, I was just like, oh man. Actually, when I first did see this, I was all about Renee Zellweger in this movie. Just the way what she wore and her attitude. That's who I hung with, the type of people, not just girls, but guys too, who were like, because I just spent my days going to bar, working, and then going home, and then going to the bars and trying to pick up chicks. That was just my life in my early 20s. So, uh, Zellweger, she reminded me of a lot of girls that I met.
Yeah, and at that whole scene talking about the corporate aspect of it, it's like everybody came in their groups. Everybody arrived in their groups. The stoners arrived in their vans, and the
At
cheerleader,
midnight.
yeah, and the cheerleaders arrived in their Jeep with the cover, top off, and everybody arrived as their groups and
Yeah,
danced
yeah,
out to Sugar High, which is a bopper. It's a
it
bopper.
is. It
I
is.
dig it.
It's a crowd pleaser. Yeah, I
Hmm.
loved it. And the whole culmination too of Renee Zellweger's whole thing of like, oh, I want to try out for a band, and that was the thing. Actually, that was the thing too when she's calling out Liv Tyler and her diet pills. Was like this whole thing of I think it was a scene before, or maybe, but it was like a throwaway line. I want to try out for a band and sing, but I don't know. And you hear it, and you're just kind of like, okay, it's like a throwaway line. And then it kind of comes to fruition at the end there when she's like, and it just sounds good too. Yeah. So
Yeah, you've got a lot of tied together pieces there with her singing and AJ
yeah,
and Liv
yeah,
Tyler on top of the
yeah,
building.
yeah, yeah.
You get to tie up those.
That's great, dude. Holy shit. Okay, cool. Yeah. So what do you want to wrap it up? What are your final thoughts on this movie?
Yeah, it's I don't know how I would enjoy it if I went into it new today, right? Like there's no way
Yeah.
for me to tell that. I think a lot of it is nostalgia and not necessarily nostalgia for the movie, but for the time period.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
movie itself, the acting's good, it's fun, but it is a good snapshot of a lot of the stuff at that time, that I was into, the movies, the vibe of where I would have wanted to hang out, where I would have wanted to
Yeah.
be. So looking back at it like a time capsule like that, it's great. It doesn't have plot holes, yes. Is there some stuff that could be explained a little better? Yes. But acting wise, it's great. If you go along with it for just the fun ride of it, you're gonna have a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. Because I think for me, as I said throughout this whole podcast, I wish I could have enjoyed it more when I was younger, but I'm enjoying it now. It's a great kind of, like you said, little time capsule because it does, regardless of how I feel about it, it does capture the mood of the mid '90s. There was just, I was young, I was a kid, but the hairstyles, the kind of vernacular, the just how they talk, everything. It was the '90s, and it was a good time. Good time. So, all right. Well, with that, thanks everybody that's listening. Thank you everybody that was watching. We're gonna come back next week and and have another pod. But thanks for coming and join us, and we'll see you again next week. Thanks, Scott.
Yeah, like, comment, and subscribe, and put down in the comments if you were going to be a character in Empire Records, who would you be?
Yeah, exactly. Or your favorite scenes, or your favorite lines, or what you thought about the movie. I want to hear it. I want to hear it. Anyways, thank you, everybody. We'll see you
Bye.
again. Bye.